Please find a comfortable place to rest, close your eyes, and allow your breath to flow gently and evenly. Feel your body sinking deeper with each exhale. Our story today begins in the soft pre-dawn hush of a medieval monastery's walled garden. The air is cool and still, and mist curls in delicate swirls among the pale green leaves of rosemary and lavender. You can almost taste the gentle crispness of the condensing dew as it settles on velvety petals. Imagine yourself there, standing barefoot on smooth, slightly damp stone paths, each step silent and tender. Above, the first hints of dawn are brushing the sky in woven threads of silver and rose. You hear the soft rustling of leaves, a quiet breeze weaving through the garden. Each gentle breath you take matches that whisper of wind, slow and even. In the center of the garden stands the alchemist's wooden hearth, its stones cool now, but once warm with gentle crackling embers. The alchemist, a kindly figure in loose linen robes, moves with grace, her hands quiet as she tends to small pots and vials, each one holding fragrant tinctures and translucent infusions. Let your eyelids ease closed as her fingers brush sage leaves into pale clay bowls. She works with reverent calm, murmuring softly, not quite in words, but in the hush of concentration. She is preparing a soothing draft, blending lavender for sleep, rosemary for memory, and the faintest touch of rose, a medieval belief rooted in the doctrine of signatures that the shape of a plant carries its healing gift, though here we carry it in our hearts. Feel your muscles unwind, as though each plant's gentle promise seeps through the air, relaxing collarbones, shoulders, arms. The alchemist pauses, lifting a small vial close to her heart. She breathes in the fragrance, cool mint, soft honey, warm chamomile, then gently releases her breath out through the night air. You sense her breathing too, soft, measured, reassuring. Your breath follows, slow and soothing, winding through your chest and belly like the mist that drifts through the garden. Now imagine a single droplet, clear pale gold, sliding from the vial into a clay bowl of lukewarm water. Watch as it wavers in the liquid, catching the first rays of morning light, refracting them in soft arcs of wonder. The drop sends gentle ripples outward, touching every edge of the bowl, calming the surface until it lies mirror still once more. Each ripple is a wave of relaxation that you can feel in your own body. Fingertips, wrists, forearms, chest, belly, hips, legs, and feet, all melting deeper into comfort. The alchemist hums a lullaby, a tune older than the stones, soft enough that the ivy pauses to listen. The notes drift in gentle curves, carrying the promise of rest. You hear the birds, too, beginning their morning song. A single note, then another, weaving in harmony with the humming. Let their melody weave into your mind, quietening the edges, smoothing the surface of thoughts till they rest like pebbles at the bottom of a stream. In the midst of all this, she gently lifts her hand and brushes trailing thyme over a tiny brass incense burner. Wisps of smoke curl upwards, carrying herbal warmth. You can almost taste its sweetness, earthy, calm, safe. Let that smoke trail through your senses, weaving into your dreams, guiding you deeper. Now, as you drift further into stillness, imagine she pours the infused water into a shallow basin of sandstone. She dips her fingers in and lifts a small splash to her lips, breathing in the steam as she smiles just a fraction, her eyes soft, sincere. She gestures for you to imagine a sip, warm, soothing, drifting across your tongue, promising rest, steady heartbeat, deep safety. Feel that warmth spread into your chest, into your belly, like a gentle tide pulling you into calm. Each breath afterward is slower, each beat of your heart quieter and more even. As the alchemist hums again, you might notice details: the faint glow on her copper vials, the sheen on her wooden spoon, the slow turning of dew on a spider's web. These little wonders hold you gently, tethering your mind to this moment of serene care. The breeze picks up just a whisper now, carrying that lullaby deeper into the foliage. You feel as though you're becoming part of the garden itself, leaf and root and blossom, at ease, safe, weightless. Your mind drifts softly like a feather on a calm stream. Feel your breath deepen once more, as if the air itself were part of a dream, soft, cool, and endlessly kind. The mist in the alchemist's garden begins to shift with the coming light, not in a rush but slowly, as though reluctant to leave this place of quiet. In its movement, the garden begins to awaken, but ever so gently, like a sleeper stirring under warm linen sheets. There are sounds, distant, barely there. A wooden wind chime swaying lazily on its twine. The quiet splash of a single droplet falling from a fig leaf into a stone basin. Perhaps the far-off call of a mourning dove echoing beyond the ivy-covered walls. Each sound is soft, slow, spaced so widely they feel like they were placed just for you. The alchemist, her name is not important, though some have called her Mirelle, moves through her garden barefoot, her robes brushing against the herbs, stirring their scents into the air. She reaches for a small leather-bound book, its spine worn with time. Inside are pressed flowers, pages of handwritten notes in curling ink, and drawings of plants once believed to carry the soul of the sun. She reads not aloud but softly to herself, mouthing the old Latin names: Valeriana officinalis, Matricaria camomilla, Rosa gallica, and as she reads, her hand reaches for those very plants, each one still growing nearby, patiently waiting for morning. You are invited to imagine each one, their leaves delicate, petals like folds of silk, edges kissed by dew. As she picks, she thanks them, an old custom once practiced by village herbalists who believed each plant had its own spirit. She bows her head for just a moment, and in that silence, you feel your thoughts quiet further, soothed by the ritual of stillness. The world beyond the garden fades. There are no burdens here, no time, no duties, only the rhythmic passage of breath, the warmth of morning beginning to stretch across the sky, and the promise of peace beneath it. Morel walks slowly now to the small wooden bench beneath an arch of climbing honeysuckle. The wood is warm from yesterday's sun, and beside it, the hearth from the night before, its stones now faintly warm, still holding memories of a fire long since gone to sleep. She sits and begins to crush the petals in her mortar. You can hear it, the soft rhythmic turning of the pestle. Not hurried, not harsh, just a circular whisper of stone on stone. You might even feel that sound in your body, a spiral of calm, turning slowly in your chest, in your thoughts, quieting all that came before. And as the mixture forms, she reaches for oil, olive, golden, thick. She pours it in and the aroma deepens. Warmth, calm, earth, a fragrance that wraps around you like a woolen shawl. She lifts the mixture and begins to rub it into her palms. Her hands are lined with stories, with decades of tending, and yet they move with the patience of someone who has never known haste. She cups them before her face and breathes in, slowly, deeply, and then releases that breath like a blessing into the garden air. "May this day be soft," she whispers, and the wind answers in rustling leaves. "You are safe here."
Feel your breath like the rhythm of distant waves, soft, slow, and steady. With each inhale, you grow lighter. With each exhale, more relaxed. The light in the alchemist's garden is different now. Not brighter, no, it's softer, rounder, golden as honey left in a sunlit jar. The mist hasn't vanished. It lingers in corners, low to the ground, curling beneath leaves like a cat at rest. Morel rises once more, cradling a bundle of newly gathered herbs in her arms. The stems dangle over her forearm, and droplets of dew trail behind her like tiny jewels. She returns to her workbench, nestled beside a stone-framed window. The wood is weathered, marked with shallow cuts and ancient spills, each telling its own quiet story. She begins to tie the herbs with flaxen string, one small bundle at a time: lavender, lemon balm, marjoram. You might notice how each one hangs upside down on a wooden rod stretched across the sill, where morning sun warms their oils gently and patiently, like a hand stroking fur. With every movement, she pauses and breathes, and so do you. There is something mesmerizing in her slowness, her care, as though even the plants respond more deeply to gentleness than to sunlight itself. You can hear the soft creak of twine pulled taut, the sigh of a fresh stalk bent just enough to yield. And then, a kettle placed above a tiny ember hearth stirs back to life with a sleepy hiss. Morel reaches for a small iron cup, rounded, worn smooth, and spoons in just a pinch of dried linden flowers. She adds the steeped water with grace, letting steam rise in soft spirals, twisting like whispers toward the ceiling beams above. The scent, calming and woodsy, begins to fill the space. She doesn't sip immediately. She waits. Because in this garden, even the waiting is part of the ritual. She holds the cup between her palms, and the warmth from it passes into her skin, and then gently into the room. You might imagine that warmth now, as if you too are holding that cup, feeling its quiet heartbeat, its invitation to release everything you're carrying. No more need for thought, only warmth, only breath, only stillness. Outside, a single finch begins to sing, just 3 notes, sweet and sure. The garden listens, so do you. And as the steam dances and the light continues to fold over every leaf and stone, you begin to feel as though your body is part of the mist itself, light, slow, dissolving, safe. Here in this moment, you are weightless, and the story continues to unfold, softly, like petals in early light. Perhaps you lean now against the old stone wall, warm from the rising sun. Or maybe you rest on the grass, soft and spongy beneath you, as the scents of sage, thyme, and chamomile drift above you. There is nowhere else to be, nothing else to do. This is where time slows, and where dreams begin. As you settle deeper, Morel begins to speak, just above a whisper, a story passed down to her through the old alchemical lines, once inked on vellum, now only breathed into the ears of those who truly listen. She tells of a garden, much like this one, hidden in the hills of Provence, where it was believed that certain herbs could only grow when spoken to each morning by someone with a kind heart. They must be heard, she says, or they simply refuse to bloom. And so each morning, the alchemist would walk the rows, reading poetry aloud, speaking softly, reciting old lullabies in Latin and Provençal. The plants would open slowly as they listened, revealing petals the color of moonlight and soft green stems as fine as spun silk. You imagine those words now, not knowing the language, but feeling the meaning behind them. It's the language of calm, of trust, of surrender. Let yourself float in that language. Let your breath carry it through your body, over your brow, behind your eyes, down your spine, until even your toes feel like they are exhaling. The garden listens with you. And somewhere, not far from the edge of waking, you begin to feel as if you too are rooted here. Part of the stillness, part of the soil and the song. The hearth embers stir faintly now, catching a breeze, releasing one last whisper of warmth into the coolness of dawn. You rest your head and drift. With each breath, imagine the weight of the day melting from your shoulders, your hands, your chest, like dew slipping from a leaf. The steam from Morel's cup continues to spiral upward, slow and silver, like time itself has slowed to match its pace. She takes a sip at last, and the warmth folds into her. Her shoulders settle, her eyes soften, and her hands come to rest upon the table, still and calm. Outside the window, the first true light of morning has begun to paint the garden in soft golds and green. The world stirs, not with urgency, but with the reverence of a long-held breath being exhaled. A wren hops between thyme stalks. A snail traces a glistening line across a wet stone. Every movement is slow, purposeful, gentle. You begin to feel that same sense of slowness in your body now, each breath a thread unwinding the last of your tension. Your spine feels long. Your head feels light. You are drifting deeper into the rhythm of the story. Morel stands, cradling her cup in one hand, and walks barefoot across the smooth stone path, her steps so quiet they stir nothing but the morning mist. She approaches a shaded corner of the garden, where the leaves hang low and heavy with sleep. Here, among elderflower and feverfew, rests her journal, bound in soft leather, the edges frayed like worn linen. She opens it to a clean page and dips her quill into a tiny pot of violet ink. The feather is long and slender, the sort once carried by court scribes, passed down now for gentler purposes. As she writes, her script is rounded, meandering, each word written like a breath. She writes not of facts or names, but of feelings, of the way the linden steam curled like smoke from a candle, of how the marjoram seemed to nod in agreement with her sigh, of a dream she had, 3 nights past, about a field of golden wheat, whispering secrets in the voice of her grandmother. This is how medieval alchemists often recorded their days, not only with formulas and weights, but with symbols, dreams, and nature's signs. They believed the world spoke in patterns, and that stillness was a form of listening. Let your own thoughts begin to take that shape, not as worries or noise, but as drifting symbols, images floating just below the surface of your mind. A garden path, a spiral of smoke, the hush of linen sleeves brushing over lavender stalks. Let them come, and let them go. You are not asked to hold anything now. Morel closes her journal softly and begins walking toward the garden's edge, where a low stone gate opens to a path seldom walked. Beyond that path lies the old forest, once considered sacred, now nearly forgotten. The villagers speak of it in hushed tones, but Morel sees it for what it is, a place where the breath of the earth rises freely into the trees. She walks there often, but always after her morning tea, and always with bare feet. She says the forest listens best when it feels your footsteps in the soil. You follow her now, in your mind, watching as she disappears into the green. Ferns brush her robes, and the leaves above shimmer with yesterday's rain. A few sunbeams pierce the canopy, dancing like fireflies caught in slow motion. There, at the edge of the trail, she pauses. In the crook of 2 trees, she finds a bundle of dried flowers tied in ribbon, a gift left by a child from the village who believes she is a forest witch. Morel smiles. She leaves behind a twist of sage in return. This quiet exchange, it's part of a long-forgotten custom once practiced by healers and children, offerings not of worship but of gratitude. A way of saying, I see you, I thank you, I pass nothing by in haste. And so now, as you walk behind her in the safety of your dream, you notice every small detail. The spiderweb stretched between 2 branches, each strand lit with dew. The toad nestled in a knot of roots, slow blinking. The hush of the wind as it brushes the treetops, like someone whispering just for you. There's a stone bench deep in this forest where Morel often sits. No one knows who carved it. It's older than the path, older than the garden, but its surface is smooth, worn by centuries of moss and rain. She sits now, folding her hands in her lap, her eyes closed, her breath steady. This is where her mind drifts, where dreams begin to speak. Perhaps you sit beside her now, or perhaps you lie among the soft clover nearby, letting the earth rise to meet your body, the soil cool beneath you, the air warm upon your cheek. You feel yourself breathing in sync with the forest, slow, slow, slower still. In this sacred place, time folds in on itself. Moments pass like petals falling into water, no splash, just the faintest ripple. Morel begins to hum again, as she did in the garden. This song is different though, older. It has no words, only a rhythm that pulls at something ancient inside you, something gentle and safe. The forest listens, so do you. The sun has reached higher now, casting long shadows that stretch across the ground like arms reaching for slumber. The leaves above dance with light, creating patterns that feel like lullabies painted in gold. Morel opens her eyes and smiles, not at you, but toward the sky, as if she's heard something only she can understand. Then she stands, brushes her hands against her robe, and begins the walk back. You follow, your steps lighter now, slower. The weight of thought has slipped from your shoulders entirely. And with each step, the rhythm of her walk, the hush of her breath, the gentle sway of herbs at her waist, all of it rocks you further into a place of surrender. By the time she returns to her garden, you are floating, as though the wind itself is carrying you, weightless, timeless, deeply at peace. She lights the hearth again, just a small flame this time. The crackle is soft, the smoke pale blue, drifting upward in lazy spirals. She places a pot of spiced milk over the flame, stirring it with a carved wooden spoon. Nutmeg, honey, a pinch of valerian root. This recipe was once whispered between abbesses in cold stone convents, passed on in winter by firelight, a medieval sleep tonic for anxious hearts. As the scent fills the garden once more, you feel the warmth return, not only in the air, but in your chest, your arms, your breath. You are nearly asleep now. Let that warmth carry you. Let the story hold you. You are safe. You are still. You are home. Feel the rhythm of your breath soften, like the hush of morning fog across a quiet field. No urgency, no weight, just the ease of stillness. Back in the garden, the fire crackles gently now, its flame small, steady, just enough to warm the pot of spiced milk resting above it. Morel lifts the wooden spoon once more, giving the liquid a slow stir. You hear it, that circular sound, the light clink of spoon on pot, like distant bells underwater. As she stirs, she hums again. The same ancient melody that once lulled her mother to sleep when she was a child in the monastery's stone walls. It is a lullaby without words, just hums and pauses, a melody shaped like rocking arms. You imagine that now, as though the melody itself were swaying you in its cradle. She pours the warm milk into 2 cups, one for herself, and one she leaves resting on the low stone wall, for the wind or the forest, or perhaps for you. She doesn't need to speak. Her silence is part of the ritual. And in that quiet, your own thoughts begin to fade further still, like paper boats drifting down a soft stream, further and further from the waking shore. Now imagine, as the sun rises a little more, a breeze enters the garden through the old gate, cool and sweet, carrying with it the fragrance of forest moss and wild mint. You breathe it in, deeply, and as you do, something within you unknots, a memory maybe from long ago. A time you felt this quiet, a time your feet touched cool earth and your heart moved with the rhythm of birdsong. It feels like returning. Morel watches the garden, not to tend it, not to work, but to simply witness it living, breathing, being. Bees drift lazily from flower to flower, their wings a gentle purr in the air. The mist begins to lift now, only slightly, revealing more of the garden's paths, the ones you hadn't seen before. And now she rises again, not with effort, but with the ease of someone who carries no weight. She gathers her satchel, soft leather, faded with use, and places inside it 3 glass vials, each filled with a different tincture: violet, rose, and golden calendula. A day of herbal visits lies ahead, for Morel does not only live within her garden, she tends to the dreams of the village too. In the quiet medieval village, nestled just beyond the trees, the people believe sleep is not only rest, but healing. And they wait patiently for the alchemist's visit. So she sets off, slowly, mindfully, down the narrow winding path that leads through forest and orchard toward the stone cottages and cobbled streets. You may walk beside her if you wish, or let your mind drift above the treetops, watching from the hush of the morning sky. The path is lined with white foxglove and yarrow, plants long used in medieval remedies, feared and revered for their powerful medicine. Morel touches each gently as she passes, whispering old names in Latin: Digitalis, Achillea. Each name is a lullaby. Each plant bends slightly, as though bowing in return. She reaches the village as the sun crests the hills. Smoke curls from chimneys, and the streets are just beginning to stir. No voices, not yet, only the soft clatter of a bucket at a well, the distant bleating of sheep. Morel visits 3 homes. In the first, a boy who dreams of storms. Every night, loud thunder crashes through his sleep. She places a sachet of dried chamomile beneath his pillow and whispers an old spell from the monastery's scrolls. Sleep be still, as leaf on pond, as stone in moss, as hush in song. In the second, a baker whose hands ache with the weight of flour and fire. Morel massages an ointment of rue and comfrey into her palms, wrapped afterward in warm linen soaked in rosemary water. And in the third, a grandmother who speaks to her dreams as though they were visitors from another land. Morel brings her a violet tincture, and the 2 of them sit quietly, just breathing, sharing silence like a story. You feel this part of the tale slow down even more, like a wheel turning, then stopping. The rhythm of care, the hush of herbal sleep. Now imagine night beginning to return. The sun begins its descent, and Morel walks home, her satchel lighter now. The trees welcome her back, the forest cool and deep with dusk. Fireflies blink in the underbrush. Somewhere, an owl begins its soft call. When she reaches the garden again, the mist is beginning to return, just a wisp now, gathering in the corners like memory. She lights the hearth once more, but not for warmth. This fire is for stories. For in the evening she speaks not to plants or people, but to the air itself. Sitting in her chair beneath the honeysuckle arch, she opens a new page of her journal, places her hand to her chest, and listens. Whatever comes, she writes. Sometimes it's not even words, just shapes, swirls, a spiral, a single line. The medieval alchemists believed that dreams came to those who stilled the body and opened the hand. And so Morel waits, and in that waiting, stories come. Like this one, this very one you're hearing now. And as she writes, the words begin to glow softly on the page, not with magic, but with meaning. Because every quiet breath you've taken, every imagined footstep, every moment of stillness was a part of this story too. And now, she writes your name. Not the name others know, but the name you hold deep inside, the name that only dreams can say. She folds the page, seals it with lavender wax, and places it under your pillow, wherever in the world you rest tonight. You may not find it in the morning, but you'll feel it, like a warmth behind your ribs, like the hush of mist before sunrise. Morel sets down her quill, closes her eyes, and lets the stars watch over the garden. The wind curls through the vines, the fire softens to embers, and you, dear listener, begin to float. You are no longer in the story. You are the dream the story became. You are the garden. You are the breath. You are the quiet. You are asleep.